Welcome to the Bourbon Life Podcast, your source for all things bourbon. Join your hosts, Mark and Matt, as they drink and review bourbons, share news about upcoming events, interview the who's who in the bourbon world, and, most importantly, bring you along for the fun of living the bourbon life. Now, here's your hosts, Mark and Matt.
All right, everybody, welcome back for another episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me live tonight in the Bourbon Life Studios is my good friend, Matt. Matt, how you doing, man?
Mark, I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm hanging in there today, man. It is a Tuesday. So, hey, it felt like a Monday for some reason, but you know what? At least we made it through, right?
That's right. We're through a Monday, and we are actually not through a Tuesday as well.
That's right. We're almost halfway through the week.
We are getting there.
Means we're going to be at the weekend very soon, man.
Yeah, which means you all are going to get to hear this episode really soon.
That's right, on Friday. Wow, that'll be great. Everybody will be really excited about that, Matt.
Yeah, I know I am. I'm always excited to get some new, fresh content out to our listeners, whether or not it's quality, but
yeah,
it's new, it's fresh.
Yeah, we're kind of changing it up. It's you and me again tonight, man. We just we didn't have a guest, so we're just going to go back and do it kind of old school. You and me just hanging out again.
That's right. It seems all of our potential guests and everybody in the industry is kind of taking a little bit of downtime before we get into September here, which is Bourbon Heritage Month in Kentucky.
That's right.
All the names are sort of locked down, getting a little chance to breathe before they hit it hard in September, and then we go strong through the end of the year, right? With all the fall and early winter releases.
Releases coming out.
Everything coming out for the
festivals
holidays
coming out.
Yeah, that's right. The entertainment season and holidays.
Oh, yeah.
All of that. So
yeah, we got 3 big festivals coming up for sure that I know of, just hopped up off the top of my head. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have the Kentucky Bourbon Festival down in Bardstown. And then a couple of weeks after that, we're going to have Bourbon on the Banks in Frankfort.
Yep.
And then in between there, or actually it's the same weekend, I think, as the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, is the Bourbon and Beyond Music Festival over in Louisville.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Can you be at 2 places?
I don't know, man. I wondered about that, because I went to the Bourbon and Beyond a couple of years ago, and it was stifling hot, and we were in the VIP section, which was about 10,000 people. It felt like so.
Yeah. VIP, you and 10,000 of your most very important friends. Yeah,
I mean the concert, the Foo Fighters were awesome. I loved to get to see them. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. I can't remember who else was there, but yeah, we had the music was great. But the weather was stifling hot, and then we were underneath a tent, and it was that was not enjoyable at all. But it was better than being out in the sun, I guess, which was crazy because there were people everywhere. I don't know how people did it all day long, and it was a 3-day thing, man. So I don't know how people were able to do it because it was 90+ degrees.
Isn't that similar to how Railbird, the musical festival in Lexington, went last year?
Ooh, yeah, that was not.
It was 90-something plus degrees, no shade, no wind.
Yeah.
And there was also no water.
No water. Now they had, Bourbon and Beyond, I give them props, man. They had, I never had problem getting a beer or a cider or a water or access to a bathroom. And at least in the VIP section, they had the cool mist fans blowing that you could, cool down a little bit. So
nice. You felt like a sports star.
Yeah, I did. On the sideline, listening to great music. But they had TVs up too as well, which was kind of funny because the VIP tent was off to the side, and there were so many people it was hard to see the stage. So we could actually listen to the music live, but watch it.
It's not all bad.
It's you've entered the digital age, right? When you go to a live concert and you sit and you watch it on the screen and you just listen to the music live. Yeah, kind of crazy. But hey, I do need to thank our new presenting sponsor, Hotel Distil, over in Louisville. So we appreciate them jumping on board with us, and look forward to working with them and hopefully getting over there and doing a live broadcast at some point, a live recording, I should say. That'll be a lot of fun to get over there. And we're also going to be working with the restaurant over there. But Hotel Distil over in Louisville, we're excited to have them on board as our new presenting sponsor. And we also appreciate the rest of our sponsors as well, everything they do for us. And Matt, usually that's the segue into, with that said, Matt, you want to tell everybody who we have with us tonight?
No segue tonight. No guest tonight. It's just you and I.
No, it's just you. Yeah, man.
Going back to our old school ways here, I suppose, right?
Yeah, but you know what? It's funny because I've had several people that have said, they like the episodes that you and I do. And for me, that's kind of the most, I don't want to say awkward, but even after 2.5 years, I'm just so used, I guess, to having the structure of a guest and having the 3 segments and having everything laid out. and planned out. So
it's also nice to like bring in someone credible.
Yeah, exactly right.
With factual information.
So it's not just you and me,
sitting around talking about how much we think we know. Man,
there are so many bourbon podcasts out there now, Matt. It's kind of crazy how many. I don't know if you've looked, but just it's like every week on social media, I see a new bourbon podcast popping up. And I'm happy that we started ours in 2020. So we've been around 2.5 years. It makes us sound like we've been around a long time, but we haven't been. But compared to a lot of the newer ones, obviously we have been around. In I think social media and podcasting world, 2.5 years is like
in podcasting years
we're like 80 years old, right? Yeah, I mean seriously, it's kind of funny, but a lot of new shows out there popping out. I'm kind of curious to hear what they're doing, and nobody, well, I shouldn't say nobody is an expert. I think I saw Dixon Dedmon. I mean, speaking of experts, I think he's actually starting a podcast. I think I saw that yesterday. So he's a guy that's got some great, obviously experience starting the Kentucky Owl brand and selling that off and doing all the tastings he does. So I'm curious to see I don't think he has an episode out yet, but I'm looking forward to checking that one out because he obviously is a man with quite a bit of experience in the industry. So it'll be fun to hear what he has to say, and I'm not sure how he's going to structure if he's actually bringing guests in, or if it's just going to be him, sitting around talking about different blends and different things that
We should do our best to bring him in.
We should. You're right. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, and I thought about that in the past. And I know after he left, I guess after Stoley brought out Kentucky Owl, then I think he stayed with him maybe a little bit, maybe not, and then he left and he started his doing some consulting work.
Yeah.
So, I think Dixon would be a really good guest to get on the show. But, Matt, I had a funny thing happen. I got to tell you, yesterday I was at, Liquor Barn as the mayor, doing
checking in on the people.
Checking in on the people at the barn of the liquor. And I've got my Bourbon Life hat on, right? So I'm at the bar, of course, sampling some of their wares. And this guy's like, "Hey, I know you." I'm like, "You do?" He goes, "Yeah, I listen to your podcast." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's the reason we're here." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Yeah, we're from Houston." I'm like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah." So he and his wife actually had come to Kentucky, and they had gone to Louisville, and they had stopped in some stores over there. And then they stopped at Happy Hour Liquor out in Nicholasville at Aaron's store. And then they intentionally came over to Liquor Barn in Hamburg simply because they listened to the show. And they know that's where.
Yeah, that's your realm. That's your place.
Yeah, and lo and behold, I just happened to be there. Of course, I was drinking a beer.
Lo and behold.
Yeah, I know. But I was drinking a beer, which is kind of funny that he's drinking a bourbon and talking about Bourbon Life, and I'm sitting there drinking a Cougar Bait from Country Boy.
Hey, everybody's got to hydrate.
Yeah, that's right, man. Staying hydrated. But that was kind of fun. It's fun when people come up and they're appreciative of what you do. And from Houston, Texas, of all places, it wasn't like he was somebody local. And he recognized me, which I thought was kind of funny because we've not done videos in
a while,
a long time. And I don't put a whole lot of pictures on Instagram of myself. Now, Facebook's a different story, right?
A little different. Yeah, a little different there.
My personal Facebook, totally different story. But anyway, but that was fun, Matt. I mean, that was kind of cool to be recognized and to have somebody come over to talk bourbon and really, you could tell that he had listened to a lot of the episodes and really enjoyed it. So it's always nice when you get that kind of a confirmation, I guess, from your listeners, that people really are out there other than your mom and
other than my parents, Philip's wife.
That's right. Yeah, Philip's wife. So we appreciate all that they do, all those listeners out there, right? But that was a lot of fun. So Matt, I was at Costco this weekend and happened to go in the liquor store by chance, and they had some of these Calumet 15-year-olds in there. Now, I've never had any of the Calumet before. Have you ever had any of it?
Oh, I feel like if I had, I've just had a sample.
Gotcha.
Maybe a long time ago, probably before I even really was appreciating bourbon.
Yeah, I got you. And I don't know. I really, honestly, I hate to say it, I don't know much about Calumet. I mean, I know the farm, obviously, that's here in. That's the one out there by the
right by Keeneland,
right by Keeneland, Keeneland, right? And it was owned by the guy that owned the Calumet baking powder, because it had the red and white, which was the same color of the baking soda, the Calumet baking soda. So the guy that originally, I think, started the farm actually owned the baking powder, I think it was baking powder, Calumet. So the colors were red and white of the farm. And then a guy, I think his name was Henry Fiatkowski, bought it back in the 80s or 90s, and had it for quite a while. I'm not sure who owns it now, but anyway, so they've obviously licensed the name because they have the steeple and they have the horses, on the label. The label's really cool. I've got 2 bottles. You're sitting up there looking at a bottle.
Yeah.
This was 109 at Costco. I think normal retail out is like 120 something, 129 maybe. So Costco had a little bit of a better price break on it. This one is the 15-year-old. It's called single rack black. And then at the bottom it says Whirl Away, which I'm assuming that must be the horse, because it looks kind of like at the very, very bottom of the label it says Whirl Away, and that looks like one of those like the bridle, the gold tags that they wear on a bridle that has the name
that would adorn the bridle.
Yeah, so that kind of looks like that. So I'm assuming Whirl Away must be the horse.
Yeah,
listed.
I can only assume it's probably a Calumet Farms horse.
I would assume, because that looks like an old picture, right? The guy the guy there holding the reins.
There's even a little story on the back too.
Oh, see, well, I can't read it, man, because my eyes are shot. So
Well, in 1941, Whirl Away was ready to shock the world with his amazing speed. Whirl Away had a tenacity to bolt toward the outside rail. Trainer Ben Jones spent many sessions trying to break the habit with no luck. The more he tried to tame the wild Whirl Away, the more ornery and bold he became. As a last resort, the day before the Kentucky Derby, Ben Jones cuts one of Whirl Away's blinkers away. It works. Whirl Away is ridden by Eddie Arcaro, Whirl Away, ridden by Eddie Arcaro, not only gives Calumet Farm its first Kentucky Derby victory, but he does it with an 8-length victory in a record time of 2:01 2/5.
Wow.
Whirl Away subsequently gives Calumet its first Triple Crown after dominating the Preakness and the Belmont races as well. He later added a win at the Travers Stakes to complete the Grand Slam of thoroughbred racing. To date, he is still the only horse in history to ever accomplish this feat.
Wow.
Yep. He also captured the title of Horse of the Year 1941. So that is who we are.
That's who we're drinking
right
to.
here.
Yeah. So, you would think, being in Lexington as long as I have, for sure, that I would at least have some, and I don't recognize the name.
I know I don't feel like there's a street.
There's not a Whirl Away street. And because most of the streets, in Lexington, especially here in Hamburg, it's all from Hamburg Farms, but still there's so many other streets that are named after other big horses. But as far as I know, there is no Whirl Away in Lexington. But this is a 15-year-old bourbon. And I guess, Matt, this is probably part of that whole 15-year batch that was, came from wherever. Rumors were between, I think.
So do we want to give our listeners a little background story on this 15
year?
I don't know anything factual about it, but it just seems that in the last year or two, we've seen a lot of brands, especially some of the younger brands that are not 15 years old, coming out with some really nice 15-year-old product in the 103 to maybe 110, 112 proof range.
Right. Yep.
But quite a few brands have come out with these single barrels or these blends or some sort of batches of 15-year product, and they all seem to be dropping around the same time. And there's lots of speculation about where they could be sourced from.
I just got a text message in reply from someone that said that they think it's Barton. They're pretty sure that it's Barton, which would make sense because it matches, because the mash bill on this one we talked about.
74 corn, 18 rye.
And 8
barley.
Malted barley, which is a Barton mash bill, right?
Which is a Barton 1792 mash bill.
So probably we're thinking, guesstimating, but there was a large batch. And I guess it was probably done for a brand. Somebody had done this and then it never came to fruition or whatever. So all these non-distilling producers, popped up on the market last year with these 15, like, wow.
Yeah.
15-year-old bourbon from XYZ company, and nobody, knows who they are. Yeah. So it does say on the label, product of Kentucky, right? So we know it was distilled here in Kentucky, but pretty sure this was Barton's juice.
Mm-hmm. But there is rumor and speculation. It's not just Barton.
Correct.
Some of these 15-year-olds, I've heard some other distillery name.
Possibly. Maybe Heaven Hill.
Jim Beam, possibly some Heaven Hill. But regardless, there was a
plethora, a cornucopia.
That's right.
A veritable cornucopia of 15-year-old bourbon on the market that has been released. And, and you know, what I've had of it so far has been good. So I'm going to throw this in the mix. Matt, what are you picking up in terms of the nose on this 15-year-old Calumet? And this is, I should say, it is 105 proof, Matt.
Yep,
so,
105 proof. So I will say we just opened this bottle tonight, just cracked the seal on it. So maybe take the first little bit with a grain of salt on the nose because, man, when I first smelled it, it was hot.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of burn, a lot of alcohol, a lot of ethanol.
There was.
Especially right on the front of the nose. But I think a lot of that is that we're drinking the neck. We just opened the bottle.
Yeah, it's a neck pour. It's a neck pour, right?
Yep, we got the turtlenecker going. But as it's taken a little time here to chill out, get some air in it, and relax, it's coming around. I'm picking up. The first thing I got was like a whiff of peppermint. I think maybe part of that ethanol or maybe that menthol type burn that like really crisp, fresh, almost burn the nostrils. Peppermint. But then it's definitely bringing a lot more of your traditional older whiskey notes. There's a lot of caramel corn, especially in there for me. Vanilla, of course.
Yeah, vanilla. I get that, Matt. I get cherry.
I don't pick up cherry. There's like some.
And oak.
Yeah, definitely oak. I guess I can see a little cherry. Maybe some graham cracker. Some sort of a wafer.
But I think it has settled down because it's been in the glass now we're about 16 minutes in. This has been in the glass for at least 15 to 20 minutes now. So I think that at least that ethanol to me has dissipated pretty nicely.
It's not overly sweet.
It's not at all. Not at all, Matt. So
it's like far more savory.
Yeah, but I agree. When I first poured it and went in for a nose, I was like, that's a lot. That'll
wake you up.
A lot more than 105 there. But I think pleasantly surprised that it's actually not. So what about tasting? You're already tasting it, Matt. So
did I jump ahead too?
No, that's fine. Because I mean, we can wrap this up with the tasting and the palate because we'll be we got a pretty good segment here. We didn't really talk about much of anything.
That's right. This is one of the only podcasts you can listen to where we can get 20 minutes in and not actually say
anything, right?
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think on the palate?
Nice heat up front.
Yeah.
It's it brings that heat, a little bit of peppercorn. I think some of that 18% rye coming through, but then it's leading me down more of a nutty.
Okay.
Getting like a brown butter type nutty nutmeg, almost like a softer peanut note with it.
Okay. I'm getting some cinnamon on the finish of it. It's coming around kind of to me that it's got more of a cinnamon flavor, like those Brock's, not a sweet. It's not like really sweet cinnamon. And then that finish is actually kind of almost bitter. Yeah. It's almost tannic.
I see what you're saying with the cinnamon. It's got like a cinnamon and like anise or a fennel type flavor. Like think of like Chinese 5-spice type flavors.
Yeah.
Where you get like a lot of baking spice, but not really the sweetness behind it.
What about, you think it's drying? Are you getting that effect on it?
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit, especially kind of coming down the pipes now.
Yeah.
Like in the chest area, there's a little bit of hug with it. But I will say, for where I thought it might be drying, it's actually got a really nice oily mouth.
Yeah, right.
To kind of to cover up some of what could be drying about it.
Yeah.
Do you find that as well?
Yeah, I do. And you can see it in the glass. I just took a drink and then, you can just see the streaks that run and cling all the way down the glass.
Yeah, it says right here on our front label, it is non-chill filtered for added depth of character and color.
There you go. So you got those oils in there. And then I was reading something earlier about this, Matt, that is talking about where the barrels were located.
Okay.
And I think that's why they call it they've got this on the label where it says underneath where it says 15 years, it says single rack black. So it seems that it says all the barrels were aged in the single center cut rack. So that's where they came up with that single rack black.
Okay.
So center of the warehouse, 15 years. I mean, I guess that makes sense because up on the top, you're not gonna be able to leave a barrel for 15 years.
Yeah. Down in the bottom, you might be way low in proof. You might be like down in the 90 something. If you put it in the middle, especially center in the middle, not on the sides.
Right in the center of the rick house, and you pull those barrels. So 15 years and single rack black. But the label's really cool. I really like the look at the bottle. It's like a BTAC bottle, right? So it's the tall,
same glass, or similar glass.
Nice tall, nice cork, nice labeling. Fun story on the back. I'm glad you read that, Matt, 'cause I just saw a lot of little words on there, so I had not taken the time to read it. But the label is really cool looking. I really, really appreciate this. Oh, and I guess I should say this is from, hold on a second, Three Springs Bottling Company is what it says, based in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
All right.
So, but it also says that what I've read, actually I'm reading, I just looked this up just to make sure, but it says, I guess this is the same group that put out the Sam Houston 15 year.
Okay.
I never had any of the Sam Houston. I remember seeing those bottles coming around.
Very similar bottle, similar label to this as well.
I think so. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's the same bottler, same distributor or whatever, or the same bottler, but Three Springs Bottling Company based out of Bowling Green. So kind of cool. 15 years. I mean, 15-year bourbon for $109.
Yeah, that's
to me that was kind of like I mean, I walked in the store. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do it. And we went into Costco and shopped, and I'm walking out, and I'm like, I'm going to go back.
Yeah, you had all that time to sit in there. You got it.
Yeah.
Got a free samples worth of lunch. So I just saved $12.
I'm hungry. I'm not hungry anymore. Yeah. So I'm a little thirsty and need to pick something up. So I did go back and picked up 2 bottles. I think they had 5 left when I was there. So I'm like, I think it's going to be a solid investment. Hey, we did this last time, Matt, because I really like it. We started the fixture or mixture. So is it a
mixture?
Is it a fixture? Would it be a fixture on your bar, or would it be one that you use as a mixer? So,
that is a good question, because you never want to call a 15-year a mixture.
Yeah.
But I think for 15 years at the price point, especially considering what some of the other 15 years that have come out around this time frame are going for.
Yeah.
I've not had too many of them. I've had a few of them. I don't know if I enjoy this one as much as some of the other ones I've had, but I'm certainly more in love with the price tag on this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna fixture it.
I think I'm gonna have to agree with Matt, and it's not gonna be my favorite tasting bourbon. I enjoy it. I think it's complex. I think there's a lot to it. The tannic finish, to me, that's kind of a strike against it for me. Mm-hmm. Everything else though about it, I do enjoy. But I think it would be a fixture for me. This is something at that price point, I would definitely keep it on my bar and share it with my friends.
Yeah, in a category of like maybe 9-10 year plus.
Yeah,
I think it's a fixture. It's a hit in that one.
Yeah, I agree. All right, man. Well, Matt, let's take a break, get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with a little bit more in just a minute.
Three Chord's line of whiskeys embody the spirit of creativity. The whiskey is a true collaboration between producer and composer Neil Giraldo and master blender distiller Ari Sussman. The Three Chord team of expert blenders, coopers, and sensory professionals have developed a multi-step process they called Perfectly Tuned Taste. This process begins by carefully selecting the finest bourbon and rye whiskeys from Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana, and then blending them together. Find out more about the whiskeys and distribution in your area at www.threechordbourbon.com.
Spirits of French Lick crafts their spirits using only the finest agricultural product that has defined character, following their motto, respect the grain. They lead the way in representing the quality of the Hoosier artisan distilling process while paying tribute to its inseparable past. By implementing best practices from those early times, combined with modern touches, Spirits of French Lick has created a truly unique place in the industry. Spirits of French Lick products are distributed throughout Indiana, Kentucky, and Missouri, and can also be purchased online through Sealbox at sealbox.com. Visit spiritsofFrenchlick.com to learn more information and make sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram. All right, everybody, welcome back for round number 2 of the Bourbon Life. I almost said it, Matt, but I stopped myself. Round number 2.
Keeping it short tonight.
That's right.
Abbreviated
of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me, as always, live in the Bourbon Life Studios, is my good friend, Matt. Matt, how you doing, man?
Mark, I'm doing great.
Good.
It's good. It's a chill Tuesday night here. We're recording. We've got good weather. Keeping it pretty low key for the listeners. Hopefully you all enjoy it. Yeah. The cats over there, the cats in the basement are enjoying it when they're hanging out with us down here and fighting with each other a little bit. Maybe they need some bourbon. Yeah, mellow them out a little bit.
Chill them out, right?
Yeah.
But we're having a good time. It's low key. I enjoy this. Run a podcast is a job.
I don't even run a podcast, and it's a job for me.
Yeah, it is, man.
Once a week, and I don't deal with any of the behind the scenes at all.
Well, it's nice to be able just to take some time and relax. And we used to do it all the time, but kind of got on the kick of, guest. So it's just nice to be able to sit back and relax. Plus the fact that guests over the summer, like you said, it's been crazy, man, just trying to lock people down.
Yeah.
To do stuff,
Everybody's taking those vacations that they had to postpone for so
COVID.
Long. Yeah.
I think that has a lot to do with it. I really do, man, because during COVID, we were, you call somebody up or message somebody and they're like, yeah, I'd love to do a podcast.
They're like, please, anything.
Yeah.
Give me something to do.
And now it's like, well, I think we got some availability 4 months down the road. If you can just pencil us in and we'll get back with you. But it's like, it's all right. It's fun, man. So we can switch things up and have a good time still, right?
That's right.
Heck yeah, man.
Hopefully we don't get too much grief for this.
No, man. Like I said, though, it's funny. I told you the guy that was talking about the podcast, and then, the other day somebody else said something about, well, it was on the Bourbon Life crew, right? Stacy and Philip both were like, man, people tell us all the time they just like to hear you guys. I'm like, they do? Nobody tells me that, but
trust me, I have a girlfriend that tells me she doesn't like to hear me all the time.
Well,
anyway.
My wife would probably agree with that sentiment about me, Matt. So I get it, but no, it is fun, man. So we got something else poured up this round. We got a little something. This was a sample that was sent to us. Now the other bottle, the Calumet, like I said, I bought that at Costco. That was like $109 retail. This is a sample bottle that was sent to us. And honestly, Matt, I can't remember when they sent this. I hate to say that. Sometimes my basement gets to be a bit of a mess. There's not a whole lot of everything's organized, but the bourbon bottles are not. So you've seen it. I mean, there's stuff kind of randomly scattered. So when somebody sends something, I usually try to set it out, and then I'm like, oh, I need to move that for whatever. And then I move it and put it in a closet or put it on a shelf.
And it gets buried.
And then I forget, So tonight when you're like, well, what do we have that people have sent? And I'm like, not a whole lot. And then I'm looking, I'm like, well, maybe we have a couple. Maybe we do have a couple things, Matt.
We do have quite a lot.
Yeah, maybe I forgot that, so I feel bad. But hey, this was sent to us by our good friends at Barrell Bourbon. We love those guys. It's funny because the other day I saw a bunch of posts about, the new batch 33 that just came out. And I went back to revisit batch 19, which was the 2020 Bourbon of the Year at San Francisco, or maybe 2021. I can't remember. But it was like small bourbon, small batch bourbon. It was the best 6 to 10-year-old bourbon, and it was the overall best bourbon at San Francisco. So it's batch 19, and I love it. And that's the one I bought like 3 or 4 bottles. So I sip on that sparingly because I was like, I don't have a bottle of that 33, so I'm going to try go back to the 19. But this is actually a small sample bottle of batch number 30 that they sent us. And this one, Matt, this jumps up in proof. The last one we had, the Calumet, was 105. This is 117.32. Now, how weird is that? But yeah, 117.32.
Well, I'm sure that Calumet is probably like 105.48.
Well, yeah,
you really get down to
that's
it,
true,
right?
Yeah, probably. But now this one is, this is batch 30, and they just released, I think batch 33 is the bottles that I'm seeing. So this wasn't too many batches ago, just a few months probably. This is a blend, of course, because that's what Barrell does. Mm-hmm. The master scientist himself, Trip Stimson, and Joe Beatrice, the owner, they work together with their whole team over there to blend their products together. And they've created some pretty amazing amazing stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm hard pressed to dig into a barrel craft spirits that I don't enjoy.
Oh yeah, yeah. That 19, I was like, oh, I'm going to take a little drink of this, and then finish that. I'm like, I'm going to have another little drink of this, and took another little drink. I'm like, maybe I'll just have one more little drink of this.
One for the road.
One more for the walk to the couch, right? So yeah, I drank probably a little bit more of that batch 19 than I should have, as since you can't find it anymore. But man, their stuff is just so good. I mean, I don't think I've ever had anything bad. And then they've got their other stuff, their finished series that they do, all those different, the Seagrass, which that was, some people complained about that one. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, man, because that one, I thought it was amazing.
Oh, that's Seagrass Rye?
Yeah.
Oh, it is amazing. If you can get past all the nomenclature on the label.
The label.
Like,
oh, yeah. It was finished in this and that and this and that.
Yeah,
and it's like, holy crap.
Yeah, the multiple finish.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they can make science out of all of that.
That's what I can't understand.
And provide a really great product.
What makes you sit there and think, because it was like an apricot brandy barrel.
Apricot was like the big, like Madeira, I think.
I'm like, what makes you sit around and think, hey, you know what would be great? If we took a bunch of these weird different barrels, man, and just blended a bunch of shit together. And it turns out like so good. So now they released that one too. Didn't they do they did another Seagrass, but it was like a $400 bottle or something. Was it like
I feel like the Seagrass is now becoming like a label name.
Yeah. Okay.
Where like different blends fall under the name Seagrass.
I got you.
Whereas the first Seagrass was, I think we were all just expecting it to be the one and only, because they had another one before that was like Dovetail. Is that right?
They've had Dovetail. What's an Armida maybe?
Yeah,
I think there's an Armida.
Right. And then they always do the New Year's batch.
The New Year's, yep. Which again, never had a bad. The two that I've tasted of that, both of them have been both really good. So this batch 30 on this one, this says the retail is $90 on it. It was a 2021 release, so this was last year. So maybe more than a few months ago that I got this. So this one's unfortunately been sitting in my shelf, Matt,
been holding out on me
for a while, and I just forgot I just forget they're in there. I hate to say that. So again, this is a blend that is sourced from undisclosed distilleries in Tennessee, Indiana, Kentucky, and Wyoming. So they got 4 involved in this one. Tennessee, not gonna. I don't know who it would be. Not gonna guess. Indiana, probably have an idea of who Indiana may be. Kentucky. Yeah, you never know who that's going to be. Wyoming, I don't know, Wyoming whiskey. I mean, that's the only one I know of, right?
That's the only one I could think of.
I don't know of anybody else in Wyoming.
Yeah.
So I'm going to guess on that one. Again, 117.32 proof. Mash bill's undisclosed. It is a blend of, it's a 5-year-old, but it is a blend of 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, and 15-year-old barrels. So maybe if they got those 15, I wonder if that's part of the whole. I bet that's part of the 15. I bet. I'm going to say that.
I don't know, because there was some 15 coming out of Tennessee.
Oh, that's true, Matt. Good point. So it could be that 15-year-old. Yep,
yeah,
you're right.
Recently.
Yep, that's a good point. Good point, Matt. So what do you think in terms of the nose? What do you pick up on this one?
Oh, this nose is heavenly.
Yeah,
I really like
good stuff.
It's quite sweet. It's got like a sweet oaky apricot, like orange stone fruit, or like kind of ruby raspberry type nose.
Yeah, it's got, to me, it's just like sweet fruit, a lot of sweet fruit. And the funny thing was, I was going in and I was thinking, I'm going to get that medicinally, what I equate to Tennessee bourbon, but I'm not picking. Do you pick it up on this?
No,
I don't either. So
no, there's like a sweet peppercorn as well.
Yeah,
on it is like, I think some spice coming through, some baking spices, but like a lot of ruby fruit, a lot of apricot or like tangerine.
Now what about, so it's 117.32. What do you think?
No burn.
No, nothing.
No.
Even no. And we just opened that, so even though it's been sitting on the shelf for a couple months, and it was a sample bottle, but it was sealed and taped up, so it has not been opened, and that lid was we just cracked it tonight. So yeah, these are straight pours.
Yeah, that's a super nice nose, I think.
Yeah, I agree, Matt. That's once again, Tripp and Joe, and we've had Tripp on the show twice now. We had him on, I guess it was season 1. I'm assuming, yeah. Mm-hmm. I can't remember which episode it was, but we had him on talking about the barrel bourbon and all that they were doing. And then last year we had Tripp back with the owner, Joe Beatrice. Yep. And then we talked about Stellum. Yeah, Stellum, and they're doing a ton of different stuff.
Yeah.
With all their Stellum, and actually got to try the Stellum. Was it the Fibonacci rye?
I didn't get to try that. I took
Chad,
off too soon.
Chad had that bottle, so
early.
After we did the crew episode last week, he cracked that one. We took a sip or two off of that one, man. So you missed out.
Right.
We'll have to get them back on the show though and talk. We can talk all things barrel and Stellum, man, because they got so much going on. But so let's talk about some releases that are coming out.
Yeah,
Matt.
Let's talk about some things that are going on.
Some things that are going on release wise. I got the news because we were both, fortunately, Mellow Moments Club members for Four Roses, which is nice. It's got its perks somewhere, somehow.
Yeah, I've still yet to find those. But
you still get you used to get those free little things in the mail for your birthday, but I think they stopped doing that.
We'll see. I've got a birthday coming up before too long.
Because, I got that big mixing spoon, the bar spoon.
Then I got a Hawthorne strainer.
Got the strainer. But it seems like I saw somewhere that they have changed it, that you now have to go to the new facility that they built there.
To pick it up?
And you have to pick up your gift. So I don't think I saw that. I don't know if it's true or not, Matt. So, but you do have a birthday coming up in a month and a half?
Ish. Who knows? Who cares?
Oh, we care, Matt. We all care, dude.
But anyway, it is release season coming up.
That's right, it is. Yeah, so the big one. So
yeah,
me.
Which one?
Oh, the Four Roses.
Yes. Yeah. We just got our emails to sign up for the lottery this year. Mm-hmm. They are doing a lottery release for the small batch.
Limited edition.
The limited edition small batch, which they come out with every year.
Yeah.
In the past, it has been for Kentucky residents at least, and I think this is not too widely distributed, but for Kentucky residents, you could, or anyone in the state of Kentucky, you could show up and they would release it on one day and there'd be a huge line. And it took forever, but you were guaranteed a bottle pretty much.
That was fun.
Yeah. I went to one of those and had a pretty good time. Got my bottle and got out of there. And
yep, that was fun. I went out there, it was like 4 a.m. and sat in a field beside the distillery.
Yeah.
And just sit down and, it's dark. Stars are out. People are out having a good time drinking.
Yeah. The year I went, which was, I think it was 22, was the 125th.
Oh.
Or the 130th.
Yeah.
Anniversary was the year that the employees were striking. So
right.
It was like kind of a weird vibe because they were out there picketing and
out there waiting. You're out there waiting to buy the bourbon.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
But everybody was very respectful, I will say. I was
that's
very pleased about that. Everyone was happy.
Yeah.
That they work for the company, not maybe pleased with labor agreements going on, but said, please keep supporting Four Roses. We'll get this resolved.
Nice.
And
that's nice to hear, man.
Yeah.
That's really good to hear. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I'm part of me is sad that they're doing that now, but I understand, I guess that,
I think it makes sense. The way everything's going, do a lottery, then give people the chance to come pick it up.
Yeah.
If they want it. If you don't, then who knows what happens to it after that. But we do have some info on it, right?
Yeah.
I got it right here.
Matt, you've got that? All right, man.
Yes. So we are looking non-chill filtered and 109 proof. So these are typically a little lower in proof.
Right.
Usually in that, what have we seen? Like 107 to I think maybe
I'll have to check.
111 or one.
I've got a couple of bottles. I'll check. But it's not like 109.8 or something weird like that. So
certainly not like a single
barrel. It's not like a Elijah Craig barrel proof where you're talking like the 130s or even 120s. I don't think.
Yeah, but it makes sense here because this batch features 20-year-old bourbon from the OBSV, a 15-year-old OESK, 14-year-old OESF, and 14-year-old OESV. Man. So a lot of E in there, a couple V's, a K, and an F.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, 14 years the youngest.
Isn't that crazy? Man, I just can't imagine going in there and picking out a 20-year-old Four Roses barrel.
You have to make enough barrels to make a batch, a substantial batch. It's usually like 15,000 bottles.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and I know, I'm sure the 20-year-old portion of it's going to be a minimal percentage of the overall mixture, the overall blend, but still to make 15,000 bottles.
Yeah. You've got to assume every bottle's got more than just a couple, like an eyedropper, 15 year in there or 20 year in there.
So that's a lot of bourbon that goes into that. But man, I have never had a bad one of those. Never. Anyone I've been able to taste. I think I've got 2 bottles. I got the one at the distillery and then won one through the liquor bar lottery. Ran just crazy because I never win anything in lotteries, man. But both of them are delicious. And I've had the 125, had the 50th Al Young. They're always just so delicious. So yeah, I will do everything in my power. That's the one bottle that I will do everything I can to, even if I have to pay for it.
Yeah.
That's a bottle I'll track down, man, for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think we talked about that before with the crew, right? What one bottle is it that you would have to have, right? So
that's yours, huh?
That's mine, but there's other releases coming out too.
That's
man.
right. In the similar fashion to the lottery of Four Roses, Old Forester.
Yeah, the birthday bourbon.
Is doing the birthday bourbon via...
Man, what a cluster lottery that was. And it's not their fault, but last year, good God. I mean, you could tell year after year, it's just progressively getting worse. And I never went over to that one just because you're on the concrete, you're on the sidewalk. And
it's early on in September, right?
This September 2nd is
heard of some pretty hot. It's like a Sunday afternoon, right?
It's awful. Yeah, man. It's just
usually
it's the second. Well, it's George Garvin Brown's birthday, which is the second. I'm pretty sure that's when they release it. But yeah, the 2 years ago, it was a mess just because it was like 90-some degrees. Because I was thinking, I could go over there, and I'm like, man, I'm not going to spend. It was a Sunday night. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to go spend a Sunday night on a sidewalk in downtown Louisville in 90-degree heat, and wait till the next day to get this bottle. So
yeah,
I passed on that. And then last year, people showed up like 4 days early, set up tents, had like torrential downpours. People were getting in fights and stuff. I mean, it's just crazy. And I think maybe a day or two before the release, they finally they came out and like, everybody's getting tickets and we're going to do a lottery and that's it. So go home.
Wow.
So it was done, it was like, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
So they changed their, that's why we can't have anything nice, Matt.
All those people that camp out and get in fights.
Yeah. We never got in fights, man. We camped out. We just had a good time, right?
We did.
Sit around and drink. I mean, some people got sick, not us, but
yeah,
maybe they drank a little too much or smoked a little too much or whatever. But not us. We were in control, and most of the people that I've been around are in control. It's funny because I always wanted to write an article about doing a camp out because there's just always the same stories. You get the one guy that I remember back 6 years ago, I could walk in and get Pappy off the shelf for $50. Always every camp out you hear that story. Mm-hmm. So there's just like a common thread between all these camp outs, the different people that pretty much tell you the same stories over and over and over again. So it's fun. What other releases, Matt? Anything else that you can think of that's coming out?
We just saw Michter's.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Going to do the first time since 2019.
2019, yeah. The toasted.
There's been a hiatus, but they are going to be releasing the Toasted Barrel Sour Mash.
That's right.
Again this year.
Toasted Barrel Sour Mash. I do have a bottle of that over there on the shelf, the 19 release. Hopefully Michter's would be kind enough to,
right.
Send one our way, maybe.
Because last year we saw the Toasted Bourbon return after a little hiatus.
Yeah. And that toasted rye, though, goodness gracious. Speaking of camp outs, I never should have taken that bottle to that camp out at Liquor Barn because there was nothing left of it. But that Toasted Barrel rye from Michter's is probably one of my favorite bottles ever. So that's one I'd probably pay to get to.
Yeah,
probably.
So I think I saw this is going to be like 90, maybe 94 proof, 94 proof, something like that.
Probably.
So a typical lower proof Michter's, and it's going to retail at $100.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
It's a little step up in price.
Yeah.
People will still, I'm sure, very willingly pay for it.
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt about it. Michter's is, mean, again, another place, the products they put out, absolutely love it, man. So, all right. So you want to talk about this batch 30, man? What do you think?
Sure. Let's do it. Nice and sweet cinnamon. It's got like a honey syrup, like a real syrupy taste right up front, but that the cinnamon, the spice cuts through it, where it's not just all sweet. It's not like you're just drinking pancake syrup.
Right.
There's enough to cut through it.
Look at that. The glass, man, the oils and everything in there. Again, that's crazy. Matt, it kind of reminds me almost like a candied orange. I mean, there's a sweetness and there's that citrus that comes through, and it's almost like an orange.
Yeah,
to me. So
I think that's a pretty good descriptor there. I was actually going to say I'm picking up citrus. There's orange. There's that apricot.
Yeah,
again on it, almost a little chocolate, like a little drying Dutch cocoa.
Nice. It's almost like a Christmas orange, right?
Yeah, it really is.
A chocolate covered Christmas orange.
Yeah, what are those, like British chocolate oranges?
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, wow. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But nice, good finish with it. The finish is long.
Yeah,
I would say it comes back kind of back palate, where I'm picking up almost a little mint, or like something a little fresh on the back of the palate with it.
Yeah, that's funny, that chocolate though. Now, you said that. Of course, I'm looking for it, but I'm finding it. know, so I do. Yeah, man, I can't believe never opened this bottle. Dang, and it doesn't drink 117.32. It didn't nose it. I don't know. Do you think it drinks that hot?
I think actually the finish, I'm getting a little Kentucky hug.
Are you? Okay.
Coming down the pipes here. So I'm going to say maybe the proof and the heat comes a little later for me.
I got you.
I'm certainly not saying I don't enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Another excellent job by Tripp and Joe and company at Barrell Bourbon, man. No doubt about it, man. This is a nice one. All right, Matt. So, I forgot to set the timer, but I'm thinking we're at the end of round 2.
Okay.
I mean, it's still running, but I think I know. I think we're good. So on this one, what do you think? Fixture or mixture? Yeah.
Just like with all barrel craft stuff that they put out, it's a fixture.
Yeah. $90, man. This is a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
Blend of all the different years that we talked about, different distilleries. And Matt, honestly, I went in here and I was looking for that specific Tennessee bourbon.
That Flintstone vitamin.
Man. I was looking for that minerality, and I don't find it. So I'm just wondering what that Tennessee source is then, because I would think I'd be able to pick that out.
Yeah.
But
just think of the stark comparison between the first two that we've had, the first round and the second round, where the first round drank, I think, like pretty bourbon typical,
right,
forward, like nice blend and meld of flavors. Nothing like really lights up your palate and gets you super excited. Whereas this one is just like, it's bright. It's got citrus. It's got deep chocolate notes. It's got heat and cinnamon. There's some sweetness. There's some spice.
For $20 less.
Hey, I'll take it.
I would take this one over the Calumet.
Yeah, I got to agree.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Matt, let's take a break, get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with more in just a minute.
The Stave Restaurant is a bourbon lover's paradise right here in the heart of bourbon country. Located at 5711 McCracken Pike in Millville, Kentucky, between Castle and Key and Woodford Reserve, Chef Kyle Klatka prepares amazing food each day that features an elevated Kentucky-inspired cuisine. With a full-service bar, great bourbon flights, and signature cocktails, the Stave is the perfect place to catch up with friends after a fun-filled day of touring the local distilleries. Be sure to check them out online at thestavekentucky.com or at Instagram and Facebook at The Stave Kentucky.
All right, everybody, welcome back for the third and final round of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me again, still here, hanging out with me. Fortunately, he did not leave during the break. My good friend, Matt. Matt, how you doing, man?
Mark, I'm great. It's always great to be back in the Bourbon Life Studios. You and I just recording mano-y-mano here.
Yeah, man.
Just like the old days.
But we should be setting, I think we're going to have to move back to the couches. I'm going to have to set it back up, with the old microphone stands, the full size. I don't know. Do you feel more comfortable around the
I
flight to the table?
Yeah, I like the.
Okay.
the table here, the noble table.
Rather than sitting around lounging on the sofa.
I mean, the lounging was nice, but
yeah, you get a little like
every now and then you gotta reach a stick over a pool cue or something.
Yeah, because I was in my lazy boy.
Yeah,
and getting kind of lazy. But it's fun, man. We had some good shows though in that setup. But I agree. I think I like the table. It's just more comfortable. Which sounds weird to say it's more comfortable than sitting on the couch, but I think it keeps you more attentive and kind of aware and in the moment. You know, sitting on the couch, kind of like you said, you can kind of drift off and get a little comfortable and lose your focus, right?
Well, hopefully our listeners aren't losing their focus if they're driving or doing something.
Especially if they're driving. Please don't.
Yeah, if you're if you're driving and you've made it this far, maybe you need to just veer off the road and end it once and for all.
Tear your radio out of your car. And
if you've made it this far with us, geez.
Wait, we appreciate you doing it. I'm sorry. There was that forced laughter again. You know, it's not forced laughter. It's just my laughter. But I
don't even notice it.
One of our reviewers said that they didn't appreciate my forced laughter.
Really?
Yes. It's crazy what people say on reviews, and I'm like, forced laughter of the host? I'm like, that's not forced laughter. It's really me laughing.
Got it.
It's not.
I'm glad I don't read our reviews. I'd hate to see what they say.
Some people can be pretty harsh, Matt, but
I just hate the co-host.
Yeah, that co-host doesn't know. But actually, the guy I was telling you about that I met up at the liquor barn, because I said, fortunately Matt's got a great palate. He goes, man, he's like, the adjectives, the word, everything he uses to describe it, it's crazy how much he can. I'm like, yeah. I was like, he kills it. He goes, oh yeah. So he's a big fan.
You paid this guy off.
No, I'm serious. I was like, wow, okay, yeah, Matt's got it going on, man. There's no doubt about it.
It's just because I do a lot of crosswords. Trying to fight.
I just know a lot of fancy words.
Trying to fight off senility.
Yeah, it's marzipan with a dash of
my favorite is Philip. When we get him on here, and he's like, "You ever taken a yellow Starburst and a pink Starburst?
Put them together.
Put them in the microwave for about 10 seconds. Lick 3 stamps."
He does have some pretty.
Suck off a helium balloon and then sandwich them together. That is what I'm tasting. I love it. I love his.
You did a pretty good That's actually a pretty good Philip imitation, man. That was really good. That was funny.
I love his description.
Oh yeah. All right, Matt. So we should talk about what we're going to be drinking this round. So.
Sure. I guess
you want to tell everybody.
Yeah, I've got the hang tag here, but this is one out of Mark's personal collection. So thank you, Mark, for sharing it with me.
Yeah, man.
But this is the 2022, February 2022 to be exact, the 2022 02 Booker's Lumberyard batch.
Lumberyard.
The Lumberyard, that's right. We are coming in at 62.4% alcohol by volume, or 124.8.
Yeah, man.
For those that don't want to do the ×2 math. This is 7 years, 1 month, and 7 days old. So not 7 years, 1 month, and 1 week. 7 years, 1 month, and 7 days.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, there's a big, long story here that I'll save everybody from hearing at least the front of it, and we'll get to the brass tacks here on the back. This batch is made up of 5 production dates that were aged in 7 different warehouses. The breakdown of barrel storage for Booker's Lumberyard batch is as follows. 2% came from the 4th floor of 7-story warehouse X. 3% came from the 3rd floor of 7-story warehouse 5. 3% came from the 4th floor of 9-story warehouse D. 17% came from the 4th floor of 7-story warehouse Z. 19% came from the 5th floor of 7-story warehouse Q. 28% from the 4th floor of 7-story warehouse I, and 28% from the 6th floor of 7-story warehouse Z.
Good Lord.
No kidding.
And again, the thought process that goes behind saying, hey, let's go grab a barrel, but let's just take 2% of that from the 3rd floor of warehouse Q or whatever, and let's.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand.
This is like a testament to how well Freddie obviously knows his distillery and his rickhouses.
It has
the fact that
yeah.
if he wants to create a batch and knows what it needs,
Yeah.
knows exactly what floor of what rick house
Yeah.
to go to.
Isn't that crazy? I just can't imagine having
It's like the same thing, like from what we gleaned from and learned from
with Harlan
Wheatley,
Yeah.
blending Buffalo Trace, and also from Brent Elliott with Four Roses.
Right. Yeah.
Like, well, it needs a little bit more of this. Go to this floor, this rick house, give me these 2 barrels exactly, and
Yeah.
then we're done.
It blows me away how these guys have it fine tuned to that degree. I just don't understand it. But
Absolutely.
the card, Matt, I do love those cards, because I do enjoy the story, because every bottle of Booker's that's released, it has a tie-in somehow to Booker No. And this one's called the Lumberyard, right?
Yep.
So I'm assuming at some point Booker probably worked or spent some time in a lumber yard. So
Yes, this batch is named in honor of my dad, Booker No's pre-distillery years. After a short stint at the University of Kentucky, Booker hitchhiked across America in hopes of joining Air Forces.
But yeah, so anyway, I'm sure he worked out at a lumber yard at some point. I'm assuming.
Yep. When Booker's mom found out where he was, she convinced him to come home and work at a local lumberyard with Uncle Jeremiah Beam, also known as Uncle Jer.
There you
go. Booker was over 6 feet tall and very strong at an early age. Anyway.
Yeah, Booker was obviously a big dude. A big guy. Big guy. Like he was like 6'4", but very, very big. Football player. That's what they did the pigskin batch, because he was
He's
a big football, high school football player, but then obviously left college and pro football as well. But I just like those little cards. It ties Booker back to the brand, little stories about him. It's always good to have those. And I personally, I'm a huge fan of the Bookers. I'm not a huge fan of the price. It used to be, $60, $65, $70, something like that. Went up a little bit, creeped up. This one I bought $99 at retail.
Yeah, I've seen it cheaper retail.
I was like,
but even cheaper is $79.99, so $80.
Oh, you've seen it at 80?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Well, damn, I got ripped off, I guess, huh?
Oh, let's pour our samples back and you can return
I'm going to take that bottle. Well, too late now, because I've already been, that sat on my kitchen counter for a few days, and, since it was easy access, it was like, hey, yeah, it's 126 proof. Okay, yeah,
That'll happen.
I'll nurse on that one. So what are you picking up on this one, Matt, in terms of the nose on it?
It's got a pretty typical Jim Beam nose for me.
Yeah.
Peanuts.
Peanuts.
You get peanuts. I get whipped cream.
Oh, huh.
I guess sweetness or a whipped delicatessen cream.
Okay.
Off that, there's like, now I'm kind of going, like, my mind is sidetracked down that way. I'm picking up like a little bit of pie crust.
I kind of get like, I like a brown sugary or burnt sugar, not burnt sugar. I like a brown sugar kind of sweetness to it. Kind of a darker sugary note. Not necessarily a burnt sugar though, but yeah, the peanuts come through. It's got a little bit of a punch to it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there's a little bit of nostril clearing.
There is
burn on that.
I mean,
definitely pick up oak. I think for 7 year, it's got a pretty mature oak nose on it as well. A lot of barrel. It's got some of that like nice. It's got a kind of a musty barn smell.
Yeah,
a little bit to it.
Oh, yeah,
which I like.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's right, because I when I first nosed it, I actually got almost like a tobacco, which is kind of at 7 years. I was like, really? But because usually that's more of an aroma I think I get on an older bourbon. But I mean, I got a hint of tobacco on this one earlier. I'm not picking it out as much now, but when I first started nosing it, before we started talking about it, I was like, yeah, I just got a hint of a little bit of tobacco on there. So, but yeah, I can see what you're talking about, that mustiness. That makes sense. But in a good way. It's not, nothing bad. I always enjoy these batches of Booker. So when I find it, it's another bottle I'm going to buy, and I, bit the bullet and paid it $90 for this, $99, which I wasn't too happy about. Especially now that you told me you've seen it at $80, Matt.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So that's kind of crazy, the price range on that. So wow, man. Okay. That's kind of disappointing to know that I paid $20 more, because that was at retail.
Yeah.
At one of my favorite stores, Matt. One of the stores I'm at a lot.
Well,
quite often. I'm there a lot.
Thank you for supporting them.
Well, yeah, I mean, always going to support them, but wow, man. Okay. Good to know. Next batch, I'm going to be looking at the store where you're looking. I'm guessing you probably saw it at Kroger.
I may or may have not seen it at Kroger.
Okay.
But remember, one of our favorite stores that you frequent quite a bit does price match.
Oh, that's right. That's a good point. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. But I know you always find these special little deals there, man. So, which is pretty awesome. So let's talk about blending, because
that's right. That's a good segue.
I think
talked about all these barrels and where everything's coming from, and knowing your rick houses and floors and everything. And what it leads to is blending.
Yeah, man.
Topic of this round, blending.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Because we have the single barrels that come out, which I enjoy. I love single barrels. I love barrel proof single barrels. But blending it seems to be the way that everybody's going, and not just blending, 20 barrels together to get a small batch, but blending like Trip and those guys, that batch 30s from four different states. Mm-hmm. And we were looking at the New Year. I pulled that bottle of that New Year's 2021, and that was what I say, 7.
Yeah, 7 different states on the Barrell Bourbon New Year 2021.
Yeah. So that seems kind of be the trend, I guess, now, right?
I would say so. I have a lot of respect for people that do blending and do it well. I think there's something to be said, and we've seen in blending, we have seen probably 2 different philosophies.
Yeah,
I would say emerge. So there are people that are blending to a specific taste, a specific profile, time after time.
Yep.
Here you have your brand, your flagships, and you are blending each batch to be as similar, to be the same or as similar as possible to the batch before, to the next batch. So you know what it takes, you know what your flavor profiles need to be, and you are like Harlan Wheatley scouring, you know exactly where to grab those barrels to make Buffalo Trace. I think there's a lot to be said about that, about consistency and being able to do it that way.
Sure.
But then there's the other side of the coin, right?
The Sean Josephs of the world.
That's right. The Sean Josephs at Pinhook, the Trip Stimpsons at Barrel Craft Spirits.
Right. Danny and Mike at, they kind of, they're doing different stuff now.
Danny and Mike at Penelope?
For Penelope, yeah. Because, their stuff, they're kind of blending to the profile, but then they're also doing these newer releases as well, where they're doing a lot of different things. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Matt, I cut you off there.
No, but you're absolutely right. They're people that we know, that we've talked to, in fact, about this.
Yeah.
That are then blending each batch different.
Right.
So you have your barrels, whether you distill or whether you are sourcing, but you have your barrels and you're taking those and you are creating something your own, something that we've never had.
Right.
And it's all just up to you to figure it out and hopefully deliver a product that people like, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's the funny thing, because when we got off, we were talking about, took our break, we were talking about Barrell, and it's like, never had a bad batch. Can't think of hardly any of their blends that they've done that are not good. And
I like the way they do their blending too. Sorry to cut in right quick.
That's all right.
Because they don't just blend for different flavors. They blend to show us something different. I remember after that 19 that we were talking about that won all those awards came out, the next batch, I think 20 was just 2 5-year.
It's 5 year. Yeah. Right.
And that was the point. The point was to display young whiskey.
Which is funny, because they did that 19 that had the it's like the 10 everything. Well, it's 10 years old, but they had even 12 and 15 maybe in there. But then the next batch,
they come right out and
was 5 years something.
Here's an homage to
that's right,
to younger whiskey.
Yeah, which is really cool.
What you can gain from that, and I appreciate that out of it too.
Yeah,
I think Sean Josephs did a great job, with Pinhook,
right,
in displaying this is younger rye, this is younger bourbon, and we're getting to see that age each year with the blends that are coming out that he's doing too for Pinhook.
Yep.
But the people that are then blending to a unique batch each time, there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah, that's, to me, people say, well, yeah, but it's the same profile. Well, yeah, but you got to think they're having to pull barrels from all over the damn place. and match that profile bottle after bottle. I mean, that's batch after batch. I mean, that's kind of crazy that they're able to do that. And it's not to say that the guys that are just letting the barrels guide them have an easier job, because I don't think they do, because they got to blend things together that's going to come out and taste good that people are going to want to drink, right?
Oh, absolutely. Because I've, on more than a few occasions at the end of our podcast, I've taken what I have left in the glass and
tried to blend
my glasses and thought, no, I can do this.
It's not that hard.
I've only got 3 samples in front of me or something. I'll put a little of this, a little of that. And
That'll work.
I'll show these guys what's up.
I think the only time that I've ever blended things together that tasted good was when we did the barrel pick at
Frey Ranch?
No, at Barton's, when we did that 1792, and we had everything was left over and dumped them all together. And it's like, I think I like all 4 of these.
I did that with our Frey Ranch pick as well.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, we had the 5 samples.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I put a few of them, put a little bit of all 5 together.
And it was good.
It's really good.
Okay. We could go back and do a Frey Ranch blend. We'll just take 5 barrels, please.
Yeah.
The days of barrel picks, Matt, may be behind us. I'm not sure, man.
Who knows?
We'll never say never, though, right?
Right.
Right. All right. So let's talk about the finish, or the taste, the palate, and I don't even know what I'm saying. The palate and the finish on this one, Matt. What do you think on this?
Real nutty.
Nutty.
Front.
Yeah.
Peanuts. Right up front. And then it's sweet. I get honey. I get simple syrup. I get like white granulated sugar.
Oh yeah, really sweet.
Not brown sugar.
Yeah.
Say.
Right.
I actually pick up a little bit of mint. There's like a little bit of wintergreen in it as well.
Okay.
Before, nice oily.
Yeah. Again, clinging to the glass like crazy on that. But I can't get over how the sweetness just continues to linger. Like really sweet, like crazy sweet. You know, it's funny, when I took a taste. Do you remember when you were a kid and you caught lightning bugs? Do you remember the smell of a lightning bug?
I'm gonna say I probably don't.
Okay, to me, it's kind of funky, but it's almost peanut-ish, which is kind of weird to say that. So when I took the drink, it reminded me of being a little kid when we would catch lightning bugs and have them in a jar or have them in our hands. And then you had that aroma, that smell, which sounds weird. But when I was a kid, it reminded me of peanuts. Huh. So that was kind of, when I took a taste, it was like, oh, lightning bugs. Well, I know that sounds weird, Matt. I know, but
that is pretty weird.
But
I'm not going to lie to you.
But when you said nuttiness and you said peanuts, I mean, that's really what it translates to, which is kind of a weird. Yeah, I know. You know how I get, Matt. I'm not drunk, I promise.
To me, it tastes like saltwater taffy a little bit too. There's some sort of a brininess. Yeah, and that sweetness. And then if you think of like after you have a piece of saltwater taffy, how your mouth is kind of coated in that sugar and everything that goes into it.
I can't get over how sweet the finish is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still getting the spiciness, that kick. But there's just that not overwhelming. I shouldn't say it like that. I'm just surprised at how sweet this finish is. Maybe it's just me.
To me, it's a touch drying.
Is it? Okay.
Just a little.
Huh. I'm not getting that much off of it, but it's, there's something about Booker's, Matt, that I'm just, you didn't turn me on to this. Now, Knob Creek, yes. You got me drinking Knob Creek. Maybe that's what kind of led me into that path of the small batches because this is one of the small batch collection. It's Knob and Booker's and Baker's and Basil Hayden, right? Yeah. Which Basil Hayden just seems so out of place in that. I'm still waiting for that foolproof barrel strength or whatever.
Foolproof Basil Hayden.
Yeah, man. I'm waiting for that. Yeah. I'm waiting for that to come down the pike sometime.
They're going weird places with Basil Hayden. I got to say, like
toasted and
the toasted, but the toasted is a rice grain.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a rice grain mash bill.
Oh, I don't think I even knew that. But now he did rice grain. Didn't he do some of that with the Little Book? Freddie did some, I think, right?
Yeah, you had me confused. I was confusing Booker's with Little Book.
Yeah, oh no, yeah, no. But I'm sorry, you're right. Little Book is part of that. No, I don't know if do they count that in their small batch collection?
No, I think that's a one-time.
It's off. Yeah, it's like
I had Fred and Freddie confused with Booker's and Little.
I got you. That was I was thinking if Basil Hayden's done a rice mash bill. No, the little book. Yes, you're right. He's kind of done some.
That is Freddie's experimental.
Yeah, which I enjoy. I mean, I love the little books so far. Were the ones I've had. So always a nice treat, man. So Matt, we're at the end of round 3 here, man.
All right.
No need to belabor the point or make our listeners endure anymore, right?
That's right. You all have made it far enough.
That's right.
We'll get you out of here.
We'll let you go, man. So, Matt, see, we're going to do this all the time. Fixture or mixture?
Mixture.
I'm so disappointed, but I knew you were leaning it that way. No, for me, it's a fixture. No, I'm going to drink this one all day long. I love it. I can't help it.
I'm not saying I don't like it.
Yeah.
But when you price it.
Okay.
And to me.
Yeah. I get it. No problem, man. So that's all right. You can offend me. No, I'm just kidding. Well, Matt, any final thoughts before we wrap this episode up, man?
Oh, Mark, it's always fun.
Yeah,
sitting
man.
around, getting to chew the fat with you, and hopefully our listeners enjoy this as well. So thanks for the good night.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate you hanging out. Of course, as always, throwing it back a little old school. A lot of fun to be able to do that. Again, we do want to thank our presenting sponsor, the Hotel Distil over in Louisville. Thank them for everything they do for us. We also want to thank the rest of our sponsors. We really appreciate all their support. Thank you, our listeners. We appreciate everything you guys do for us. And please, if you see us out, come up and say, hey, that was kind of fun. I enjoyed, even though if I'm drinking a beer, don't give me a hard time because I do drink bourbon, but I like to drink beer. But no, we'd love to hear from you. So check us out. You can shoot us a message on Instagram, The Bourbon Life. Also on Facebook, you can join our private Facebook group, The Bourbon Lifers. We'd love to have you join us there. If you have any questions, comments, anything, please feel free to email us at thebourbonlife@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you guys. And if you'd like to, we'd appreciate it. Don't leave us any reviews about my forced laughter or anything like that. See, I'm forced laughter again there, Matt. What can I say? But, feel free to leave us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. We would really appreciate that. And with that said, I'm going to wrap it up, send us home with our tagline, which is, may your glasses always be full, and may you keep on living the bourbon life.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast. Our mission at the Bourbon Life is simple, to share our passion for all things bourbon with you every week. And we'd really love to hear your thoughts on how we're doing. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Bourbon Life. You can also contact us by email at thebourbonlife@gmail.com. And you can always find us on your favorite podcast platform. If you have a moment, we'd love it if you would rate us and give us a review. So until next week, we hope your glass is always full and that you keep on living the bourbon life.